It's time for our last guest of the evening. She's an actor who's been acting for several years. You've seen her in things like The Dirties, of course, Shadowhunters that I mentioned before, and of course, as Iris on Diggstown. Please welcome to the program, Shailene Garnett.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for coming on the show. Okay, so Diggstown just wrapped up on this week,
Yeah.
and a tight, short little season finished off the series. And man, Iris had a rough go this season. My God, dealing with trauma, I
Ugh.
guess a little bit of intimate affairs that led to some severing of friendships and business relationships. Man, Iris was put through the ringer. What was it like to finally, to finish up with this character?
I'll focus more on her growth.
Yeah,
I would like to frame it as though, yes, she went through a couple hard patches throughout the series, even not
yeah, of
just this
course.
season,
Yeah,
but she came to a lot of resolutions. Even if things didn't work out the way we would have expected or that she would have hoped,
hmm.
I think she left on a high note. Um, she left on a high note and she stood up for herself and she spoke up for herself, and I don't think she left in a place where she's no longer putting herself in like compromised situations,
Yeah, that's good.
and I'm
Yeah.
happy for her.
Well, yeah, no,
Yeah.
well, I would be too. Yeah, especially after the season she had at the ending there. Yeah, it was very much like a "we good, okay, I know what I'm doing now" sort of thing. Which, yeah, that's a great place to be in.
I will say though, she and Marcy were never friends.
No, of course not.
They definitely had their history. They definitely come from the same area and they're familiar with each other, but they were from season one. It was like, hey, let me just lay this out. I'm not doing this, we're not doing that. This is what it is, this is what it's not. So I like the fact that even though there was some clashing, they're both really strong, independent women, and they can just agree to disagree and shake hands and move on, and things can still be fine. There's no cattiness to it. And I
Yeah,
appreciate that. I really appreciate that.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, I was that leads into something I wanted to ask you about, was just, like being on a series like this where there is such a diverse cast, not only in, backgrounds, but also genders and everything like that. Like everybody's getting a fair representation, like working on a show like this, that must bring you some pride and some happiness knowing that we're starting to see more of it, on television.
Yeah, I think we are starting to see more of it. I will speak to Diggstown because that's my main experience, and what I love the most that we've been receiving throughout the different seasons was people approaching us and feeling seen and expressing that. And they're like, "Hey, that's my story," or I, you know, I I love that I'm a part of this because I get to share something that it really matters to me or that is affecting me or whatever the case may be. Like that was the validation that I received, in that we are doing the work as authentically as possible. I can't take the credit. I mean, I didn't write any of it. I'm just very grateful to have been a part of something like this, but it was very important because there was even some storylines that made it into season one or season two or three that I brought to the table. I messaged Floyd before one of the seasons, and I brought him a story. I spoke to him about a story, and it was about a teacher who came from Durham, outside of Toronto, where I was raised, and she had unfair treatment and based on lies, and so we kind of put that into the storyline, which I was really happy about. But I think overall they're really hard hitting stories, and but they're real, and we finally get to know about them.
Well, that was cool that you were able to bring that idea. Like, was that something that was always fostered while you were working on the show? Was that this idea of like open communication? Let's share some idea. Like, if you got something to bring to the table, like bring it.
100%. I've never been on a production to date where I've had that full transparency, that the open door policy, and they actually meant it. Like and I'm talking about the entire cast, producers, directors, like we would go out for dinners and we would have conversations outside of work, right? And it was just I don't want to say the word safe. I don't like using that word. I think we use it too much, but it was such an an encouraging environment.
So it was
And
like
there's no
open.
room. Was that?
It was open.
Very open. It was so open. Like I could literally text them and be like, hey, have you seen this? We can talk about it. And hey, you know, we'd be pulled aside. Hey, what do you think about Iris's storyline? Or here's what I have going on. You know, the whole Iris and Avery thing, Dwayne and I have heard about it since season 2, you know? And so we knew this was something that was wanting to be worked into some capacity. And I guess they got their wish. But for the first time in my career, I actually had input. And I appreciate that so much because it comes more as like a collaborative effort as opposed to hear the words, say them, learn them, memorize them, do it, go. Like it was for 5 years. I mean, 5 years, 4 seasons, an entire pandemic. I appreciate that. It was like it was a friendship. It was it was like a collaborative team effort. It was amazing.
That's fantastic. Yeah, we've interviewed a lot of people, and it's always nice to hear actors talk about the experiences on the shows where it got to be like that, where it got to be like so open and giving, and such a great place to cultivate character, that's fantastic.
This show clearly mattered to a lot of people, and it impacted even more people. And I think that's evident in the stories that were being told, shared, expressed by all of us,
Yeah, definitely.
And it sounds like that with such a great experience that there's obviously I got to imagine that there's a little bit of sadness and regret that that it's that this journey's
all over.
Like it's over now. Like obviously as an actor you that it's part of the gig. You come in, you do it, you do your lines, you move on. But it sounds like you guys really got close, and that this had quite an impact on you.
I mean, for sure. I mean, listen, I've never been on a series for this amount of time. Even Shadowhunters and Murdoch, I was still recurring. I'd come and go, but this was like the whole series, right? So there's a lot of milestones that I got from the show. So that's always going to be near and dear to my heart. And after 5 years, well, I mean, 4 seasons, but 5 years because we had the year off, I think I'll confidently say that I'm excited to kind of see where everyone goes from here. I think it would have just been the same, like, okay, what more stories can we tell? What more stories can we tell? But I think we're at a place now where we've had so much growth from these last 4 seasons. And I'm genuinely excited to see where everyone ends up. I mean, Stacey Farber, let's talk about her. She went on to be on Lois and Clark, right?
Yeah.
Superman, right? And Virginia Rivers, I think it's called. I'm not sure if that's the name, but like she's gone on to do like really great things. And now that we're kind of I don't know, wrapped out of this series, I want to see where everyone else goes.
Yeah. So, well, speaking of where everybody's going, of course, you got a chance to shoot a horror film that's coming out next year. And it was your first time into some actual like heavy horror, because you're a self-professed wimp, right?
Okay,
you're much like me. I get scared like that. No,
I swore that I would never do a horror film. I swore up and down. I always used to watch the special features on DVDs, like the whole Saw franchise. You cannot catch me watching that at night. I would watch the special features during the day, then watch the movie and fast forward, just so I can like, okay, that's how it's done. Okay, it's fake, it's fake, it's fake. My mom laughs at me to this day if I'm my mom, okay? So yeah, I don't do scary films at all. And then anything paranormal, forget about it. Absolutely. Ghost, the movie Ghost terrified me, okay? I watched Ghost when I was a kid by myself. I don't know why. And I sprinted up the stairs with all the lights on because I had my active imagination told me that someone was going to come through the wall and grab me, So yes, I'm a wimp when it comes to scary films.
See, now I'm picturing you getting freaked out walking past a pottery table,
Yeah, I know. I put that at the end of my bucket list. Forget pottery. No, but shooting it was a complete different experience. And this film was incredibly gory. I watched it back. My one regret from that film is that my hands were so covered in fake blood all day long. And I don't like the feeling. And I would always have stiff hands.
Mm.
So anytime I'm running, my arms are like, I watch that back, I'm like, dang, nobody could have told me. But okay, I digress. Yes,
Oh,
I'm a wimp, and I did a feature film, a horror film, and it was so much fun. So much fun. I would actually consider a career in horror for sure.
that's awesome. That's awesome. So that's The Descendant coming out sometime next year, correct?
Here's to hoping. Here's to hoping. I mean,
Yeah, that's the movie
I
business. Here's to
Well,
hoping. Yeah, I
yeah,
hear
that's very typical of actors. That's the,
Yeah.
fingers crossed.
listen, it was such a cool project, and it was like I said, I keep saying I had a lot of firsts, but there was a lot of firsts for a lot of people on that film as well. And it was just really cool, and I would love people to see it. And I'm the actor. I don't have any creative decisions or any editorial decisions. I don't have any say with post-production, so I don't know, I just need to wait like the rest of us.
Yeah. Don't know how long it's going to take. It's going to take what it takes.
It's gonna take what it
is.
takes, but when it comes out, I'm really excited for it. How about that?
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, of course, as an actor, you've also been able to give back. I know you did the Breaking Through the Screens project with the Lighthouse Arts Center in Halifax. What was it like putting that whole program together?
Serendipitous, I would say. Okay, so I'll try to be brief, but how this started was season 1 of Diggstown. I don't know how this happened, but Floyd and his assistant Callie at the time went to Preston to do like a sit down with the residents, the locals. And I kind of came just to be a wallflower, and somebody had asked how they can get their youth involved, because Diggstown, Marcy and Iris are from Preston, and so is Floyd, right? It was an authentic representation. So their question was, how do we get our people more involved? And I realized Floyd is so generous with his time. He doesn't say no. And so everybody was pulling his trying to get some of his time. And I'm like, man, if only there was a way where we as a show could do something to give back to the community, or to kind of exchange with the film industry, kind of with Floyd's name, you know what I mean? Just some sort of project. Anyhow, that eventually boiled down to a pre-existing workshop that I've been putting together and trying to shop around. And we had this meet and greet. And I met this lady named Tara Taylor. And I told her about my dream of, I want to do this workshop kind of like on behalf of or through Diggstown. And then 3 years later, season 2, season 3, nothing really happened. And then season 4, I finally reached out to Floyd. I said, hey, I have my workshop laid out. I'm ready to move forward with it. I would like to connect with someone in Nova Scotia as like a local liaison. And she goes, oh, here, let me introduce you to this person. This person was Tara Taylor. We came back full circle like 3-4 years later. And her whole thing was, by that point, she was putting on this program for Black Canadians in Nova Scotia as like an all-encompassing program, training program to get more people into the industry in Nova Scotia, because it's booming now, right? But she was missing an acting program. So when I say it fell into place, it did take a year to kind of work out the kinks and kind of get it going. And we were in the middle of our pilot program of it. But I had 10 students. I had like an 85% participation and success rate with it. My students went on to get representation, booked auditions, got offers. Like, I'm so incredibly proud of my first group. I feel incredibly possessive of them, but it's been really cool. I got a ton of great feedback, and I think this might be something. I think we're onto something, I really do.
Awesome.
That
Is
is awesome.
Well, here's to that continuing. That sounds awesome. That's really great.
Appreciate it.
Now,
Thank you.
before we wrap up here, of course, you mentioned it earlier, Shadowhunters was a big part of the early part of your career. The Shadowhunters fans, are they still reaching out to you? Because I know that they're quite a rabid bunch. They're very hardcore.
They were quite a thrill throughout my 15 minutes of fame. I will tell you that. They like, man, they were another first. I've never had that experience. I would go onto Twitter and be like, hi, and they'd be like, ah, that died down very quickly as soon as I was very eloquently written off the show in season 2 with a side phone conversation. They kind of drifted off. There were a few. I still have 1 or 2 on my Instagram list who I'll still check in with, but I don't consider them a fan anymore. I think we've moved past that, more like an internet friend. But you know what? I will say that fandom will always have my heart. And let me tell you why. There was a period of time when my nephew was not well, like very, very not well. And I was getting the height of my 15 minutes. I was getting a lot of like fan art. So I said, listen, guys, I don't really know what to do. My nephew, he's like in a really low, dark place. He's not healthy right now. And, he feels like alone in the world. Can you kind of redirect the fan art? Okay. And it wasn't even like internet stuff. I'm talking about packages from around the world, from people he didn't know, but who took the time to create art. Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't have to do that, and they did it. And it's like, I can never not be grateful for that fandom. They really, really stand up for people who they care about, for sure.
That's awesome.
Pretty awesome.
Yeah, it really was.
It's amazing.
Did you guys watch the show by chance? Were you guys?
I didn't. I wasn't a hardcore. I watched a number of episodes here and there, mainly based on the people who we got on this show to interview.
Yeah.
So I checked it out. Yeah. So I've seen it. It was fun. It was fun. Yeah. It was also fun to see yet another show hiding the fact that it was Toronto. That was.
Yeah. Like the Distillery District, the episode 1.
Yeah.
Scene 1, and they're like walking down the Distillery District. Yeah. No, it was great.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Crazy stuff.
It's always the best part of watching shows and movies as a resident of the area where they film, and just be going, oh yeah, it's that, and that's not New York. That's not.
And then you see the text like Berlin or like New York. I'm pretty sure that's the CN Tower in the back. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Totally. Oh my God. Well, also one thing I will say about you, which I think is great, is that you put out there what you want. Like with your career, of course, you said it to a number of people that you would love to work with Riz Ahmed. And so it's good to put that out there into the universe.
Thank you.
And hopefully, hey, if there's any producers listening right now that have something that they're working on with Riz Ahmed, Shailene's here. She's ready to work it.
Have you seen his work? Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah. No, he's fantastic.
Gosh. So yeah, he's my current studying his work right now. He's phenomenal. Sound of Music blew my mind. Absolutely blew my mind.
Sound of Metal.
Sound of Metal. Yeah.
Sound of Music can blow your time. Yeah, Julie Andrews, great.
Too, but not quite Sound of Metal. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for the correction. He's on the hilltop spinning around.
Yeah. That would be a very different film. Very different film.
Oh my God.
Now I kind of want to see it. I think he can pull it off.
That's the movie you write me into. There we go. That's it right there. Well, Shailene, I want to thank you for coming on the program. It's been great talking with you. And of course, hey, when the horror film comes out, when The Descendant comes out, or if you have any other projects, you're welcome back anytime to talk about it. I would love to come back. Yeah, this was so much fun.
All right, fantastic. Awesome. Have yourself a great night.
Appreciate it. You guys as well. Bye.